Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for watching a Tarnation TV production. Commentary by the Flat Out Racing Network. We're here, of course, on Thursday night. This is Rolling Thunder Gaming, rollingthundergaming.com. Thanks to them for having us do this. I'll get right to the point. We're getting pretty late in the season. This is race number 7. And to let somebody else do the talking, my name is Blaine Donlan, joined tonight by Kyle Matthews and Seth Cole.
Well, as you say, Blaine, we're late here in the regular season. 2 races left to go until we're going to know at least 12 drivers at a minimum that will battle in this season's chase, playoffs, whatever you want to call it here for their postseason. 6 races in the books. 6 different drivers have gone to victory lane. We're pushing a trend here, Kyle, where potentially we could end up seeing a perfect 8 for 8 during the regular season. A lot of big names that are up there inside of the top 12, even the top 5 in the standings that are still looking for that first victory, but a lot of big names. We mentioned this at the close of the race last week. A lot of big names hovering right around that cut line, and several that are outside of the top 15, top 20 that we're used to seeing regularly, season after season, challenging for the championship.
Yeah, this is why I think that trend is going to continue. I mean, like you just said, so many big names that haven't won, that are right around the cut line or a little bit below the cut line, and a lot of these guys have been knocking on the door of winning a race all season. So I truly expect the trend of different winners to continue here tonight.
Now, we always mention this, that you always want to tune in the following week because you never know what we end up announcing when the cameras go off at the close of a race. Maybe an entirely different narrative when the cameras come back on the following week. That is the case here heading into this 7th race of the season. Last week, we saw Tim Anderson in the 033 cross the start-finish line P1, take the checkered flag. However, we also saw him throw a block while make a move for the lead as well. Ended up involving Chuck McClure in turn 3 on the final lap. Admins did go back in post-race review. They deemed that the 033 was responsible. His victory did not count last week. Bob Seminara, who crossed the line in a photo finish second at the start-finish line, is awarded the victory. And so by proxy, Bob Seminara has won his way into the postseason. Not only that, he sits 4th in the standings, 11 points back. Himself, Metallic, Brian Schilling, points leader Grant Wesley, 11 points separating the top 4 in overall standings. And we know, of course, there are some bonus points that are paid out to the regular season champion. So obviously it's a tough break for Tim Anderson, who's in the field tonight, maybe looking to get one back. But that's a huge break there for Bob Seminara, who, let's be honest, has been in the conversation numerous times this season, second half of last season, has been on a bit of a personal winless streak. Now he's got that monkey off his back coming into tonight.
Yeah, I think he had at least one second place finish this season before last week, where it looked like he got another second place finish, but now it's a win, and and he was another one of those guys, like I said, who's been knocking on the door of winning a race all year, and it finally went his way last week. Maybe not the way that he necessarily wanted it to, but a win's a win, and I'm sure he'll take it.
Our top 7 in the point standings overall house the now 6 previous race winners on the season. Greg Lovell currently 5th in the standings. He is the only driver in the top 7 that does not have a victory, and I'm going to have to double check here. Yes, he is in the field tonight, going to roll off the grid from the 23rd position, so keep an eye on that 880, who's had a very good, consistent first 6 races, but is still looking for that first checkered flag. Let's talk a little bit more in depth about, especially with the fact here that there's only a total now of 132 laps until we're putting that playoff grid together. Highlight a couple of those big names that are currently finding themselves outside the cut line, which is 12th in overall standings. A former champion from a couple of seasons ago, Jeremy Jeffries, sits 16th in points. Former playoff contender and Greg Palmer, currently 18th. Same for Kelly Causey. Former winner here multiple times, former playoff contender multiple times, 20th in the standings. Joe DeSpirito, multi-time former champion here, 21st in points. And Donnie Garrett, who has that moniker of top 5 and top 10 them to death, looks for consistency, 27th in points. Is it now this point of the season where a number of those drivers might have to hit the panic button and maybe look at both this race and next week's regular season finale as must win?
I would definitely think so. Now that there's only 2 races left until the playoffs, and these are guys that, like you mentioned, these are guys that could pull off a victory at any point. So, man, I mean, it is surprising to hear that those names you just mentioned have not won a race this season and are in jeopardy of potentially not making the playoffs. But man, it just goes to show you how competitive this series is. So, and that's another reason why I think the trend of different winners is going to continue, just because of those big names that you just mentioned.
Well, it is another full field tonight. They had to have go or go home qualifying. I believe a total of 4 drivers did not make the field here this week, which means there are a lot of points to be gained, and on the flip side, a lot of points to be lost, depending on which side you find yourself in the finishing results here this evening. They're just moments away from gridding up here, so we'll take the opportunity also pre-race to highlight the bracket challenge. We are getting into the late stages, at least on the winner's side of the bracket here, with the end of the regular season looming. We're down to our final 4 in the 4th round on the winner's side of the bracket. 3 of the top 4 seeded individuals still in the hunt. Number 1 seed Grant Wesley will be taking on last week's winner, number 4 seed Bob Seminara, and number 2 seed Brian Schilling will be taking on the 11 seed Greg Lovell. Winners of those respective matchups, they will move on to the finals on the winner's side of the bracket, and obviously the winner from that will wait in the wings, see how it all settles out on the loser's side of the bracket. Several names still in the hunt there. I believe there are 12 drivers that are still in the hunt down the loser's side of the bracket. 8 of them are in competition tonight. 4 individuals currently on a bye, waiting for their respective opponents next week. So be interesting to see how that all sorts itself out here. Obviously, we've had multiple different winners in the past couple of seasons. Brian Schilling, Joe DeSpirito, Jessica Loreley, among some of those in the last 3 or 4 seasons that have been able to win the bracket challenge. Very difficult to win, just as much as the overall championship itself. And a lot of times we end up hearing drivers in their post-race interviews, they highlight the bracket challenge just as much as they do the events of the race itself.
Yeah, it's amazing what as if the drama of trying to win a race and get into the playoffs isn't high enough. Then you have the pressure of the bracket challenge as well.
Well, we will be talking a lot here tonight and next week, that regular season finale, about 12th in the point standings. That is the proverbial cut line to get into the championship hunt. The top 12 in points will battle in the postseason, regardless of if they have won or not. We currently do not have any scenario of a race winner being outside of the top 12, but inside of the top 20. So there would not currently be any wild card spots. The driver that we're probably going to be keeping a close eye on here tonight is going to be Bernie Mobbs. He is currently in that 12th position in points. As a matter of fact, he and Denny Carroll are actually tied for 12th position in the standings. 2 drivers that have really had up and down seasons. One week they do well, the following week they're caught up in a wreck. We'll see if either one of those drivers or both are able to find themselves maybe on the plus side of 12th in the standings at the conclusion of this one. But you see the 40 drivers now lining up on pit lane, getting ready to roll off momentarily. And a former champion of the series, Richard Martin, is going to line up on the pole position. Of course, Demar, one of the 6 previous winners this season, sits 6th in the overall standings. He'll share that front row with Robert Breedlove. Row 2 is going to find Josh Metallic and Jeremy Jeffries. Metallic, another of the former winners here in season 67. Bobby Farrell and Tim Anderson going to make up row number 3. Row 4 is going to find Graham McDonald and Dante Ricky, with Randy Waugh,
Luigi,
and Javier Negron. They're going to be the completion of the top 10 points leader.
Looking at the actual qualifying order, Seth and Blaine, you guys had top 10 qualified spots.
It's the first time, I think, all season it's put both of us broadcasters' accounts in the top 10.
We'll take it.
Yeah. I think we finally found that speed we were looking for. Grant Wesley, points leader Going to start this race from the 11th position. Brian Lovell will line up to his outside in row 6. Brian Schilling, another former winner on the season, second in points. There's only 2 points separating him and Grant coming in tonight for that overall points lead. He'll be back in row 7 with Doug Kulik. Row 8 is going to find Mike Mangialardi and Billy Elliser. Row 9, Greg Palmer and the driver we were talking about, that 12th Stands Cutline driver, Bernie Mobbs. Your top 20 completed with Glenn Harris and the defending champion, Chuck McClure. Back in row 11 is where you find Dennis McCarthy and Tim Nofsker. Greg Lovell and Ulysses Sandoval back in row 12. Row 13 will be Milt Surratt and Terry Bombard. Row 14 will be Michael Norman and Ken Roberts. And completing the top 30, Joe DeSpirito and last week's winner, Bob Seminara. Row 16 will be Mark Paglia alongside of Kelly Causey. Row 17, Denny Carroll, mentioned he along with Bernie Mobbs, 12th in the standings Cutline driver. John Godfrey will be alongside of him. Row 18, RJ Cabana. Rodney Sullins deep in the field here tonight. Row 19, Pat McCarsky and Jason Scheck. And then Donnie Garrett, who we mentioned, mired outside the top 25 in points. He will roll off in the final row alongside of Perry Bond. And that will be your 40-car starting lineup here tonight. I believe that the list of drivers who failed to qualify this evening would include Jeff Crivello, Dave Little, Robert Spring, Ron Hagelin, and Brian Rawson.
Wow. Some regulars in that list that didn't make it. That is it goes to show you how competitive this series is.
It really does. I mean, we end up talking about the battle for the wins. We talk about the battle for the cut line. There's as much a battle that goes into trying to get into the top 30 in points to guarantee your spot in the field each and every week. That transpires on the racetrack every single Thursday night. And a lot of drivers, unfortunately, as that list of DNQs indicates, ends up sending home a lot of drivers who very easily, had they made the field, we could have been talking to at the end of these 66 laps in victory lane.
Bit of a stack up in the back there. I don't know if...
And we have a yellow. Like we may get a restart here. We will.
About that.
Restart. Engine blue under caution.
A little grid back up again here. Richard Martin on that pole position, one of the 6 previous winners this season, the only non-Chevrolet that has gone to victory lane this season. So far, before he went to victory lane, Chevy's had a stranglehold on the race victories on the checkered flags here in season 67, and Bob Seminara's victory last week now will continue that trend for the bow ties. I have to see if maybe the Fords, I know we've got I think a couple of Toyotas in the field here as well. Will any of those manufacturers be able to break through here for their first win of this season?
So the 43 car, that's a Dodge, isn't it?
Correct, yep.
Okay. I thought that looked like a Challenger from this angle there, so...
Update from race control, engine blue under the parade lap. So restart.
Okay.
Yeah, so somebody had some sort of issue and had to go down to the apron. It looked like it caused a bit of a stack up, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, of course, by rule they have, if it's under pacing, mechanical problem, they will do a race restart. So the pace car will roll off of pit road again. Everybody will go up through the gears, make sure that they have all of them at their disposal here. We've seen quite a number of mechanical failures here this season, whether it be losing a gear on a restart or having a random engine failure. Maybe I might not be outside of the realm of exaggerating. We might have had more mechanical failures this year than we've actually had wrecks, because we've had a number of races this season where we've had only 1 or 2 wrecks during the course of the race, but we've had a lot of retirees because drivers' equipment isn't able to go the full distance.
That is quite surprising. Usually an online engine failure or something just those happen at random and don't happen very often, but this season it's been a different story.
I see a few new paint schemes in the field here tonight. One of them going to be starting on the inside of row 3. Dante Ricky in that number 84. Got the Jersey Mike's sponsorship on his Toyota Camry. I believe Josh Metallic and Perry Bond are also running brand new paint schemes here tonight as well.
Never had Jersey Mike's, but it sounds good. I've got
Only
one not
had it
too
once.
got one not too far from where I live, just down the street a little bit. So
Food is delicious, maybe a little overpriced, but very good subs. I also just noticed, I don't know why it took nearly a full pace lap and a half here, but how in the world did the random qualifying organizer get both the STP cars on the inside of rows 1 and 2?
I was wondering the same thing. It's like, wow, of all the... It's like, what are the odds of that? But here we are.
All right, looks like everybody's good to go. Pace car makes the left-hand turn to pit lane and will leave the field in the hands of Richard Martin as the green flag waves. The penultimate race of the regular season is green here at Talladega. 2 races left to race to the chase.
And you said the top 12 go into the playoff rounds, right? And that's a knockout style?
Correct. Yep, top 12. 2 races down to our round of 8. Then 2 races down to our final 4. Potentially. We've ended up having rounds of 9, and we've had final 5. So
Let's say we had a final 5 last season.
Yeah.
Shows you how tight this is. It's when guys will stay out to get those bonus points and lead 1 lap. It can, put you in situations like that. It's always worth doing.
Final 4 with an asterisk next to it.
Yes. Yeah, it's a
that
shame.
bonus point. Bobby Farrell going to get a bonus point there. He'll lead the first lap.
There was a good chance of an STP car leading that first lap. And
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that 033 of Tim Anderson didn't get to keep that win from last week. That was an amazing race.
Amazing race. Great finish.
Closest finish we've had all season so far.
Oh, really? Like on the interval?
18 1,000ths of a second. Closest
Nice.
finish so far of season 67.
Yeah, I've seen some crazy close ones.
Wouldn't be surprised to see another finish like that sometime this season. It's amazing how close it's been. And they've already got a third line going right there. Looks like Chuck McClure is leading that with, I believe that's Tim Nofsker right behind him.
Yeah, Chuck
Greg
McClure.
Palmer.
Not surprised to see him be aggressive here in the early going. Chuck ended up dropping a couple spots in the standings last week. Remember, he was involved in that last lap wreck going into turn 3. Did manage to cross the start-finish line, but did not get the finish that he was looking for. Certainly nowhere close to where he was running when they took the white flag to start the final lap. Comes into this race 11th in points. That is 1 position ahead of that 12th in the standings cut line. Only 6 points to the good. And remember, he was the champion of the series 1 season ago.
Saw the 931 Robert Breedlove jump up in front of Chuck McClure to lead that outside line. Full set of Richard Martin stuck in the middle leading that line. Looks like the bottom's where you want to be right now. There's a breakaway of about 4 cars.
Farrell, Rookie, Waugh, and Wesley right now, that top 4 that have cleared. Brian Schilling looking to do the same, and he will into 5th. Ryan Lovell in the Tide ride behind him, trying to move by for 6th. And there is that blue 033 Bass Pro Shop Chevrolet of Tim Anderson, who last week talked to him in Victory Lane, thought he had his first victory here in the Talladega Challenge Series. Got the post-race EOL. Had a good qualifying effort here based off the random draw. Good track position and making the most of it here. Trying to find a little redemption from last week. Trying to get back in the conversation and officially get that checkered flag here tonight.
this track. Excuse me. To see these guys, obviously going back here 3 wide like they've been doing, it just shows how far this track has come. In 2003, Talladega did not race this well. With all the little tweaks behind the scenes, and of course the car setup too. Instantaneously 3 wide most of the time right when the race goes green. You can go anywhere you have to go out here, which is fantastic. As long as you've got people behind you willing to help you out.
I don't know how they create all these different versions of these tracks, but I think Talladega probably has more versions than any other track. That or Daytona, it seems like. I mean, there's all the different versions of Daytona and Talladega. It's insane, but some real good ones out there, and this is a good one right here. Dante Ricky now is going to go to the lead with help from Randy Watt and Grant Wesley.
And he does so in the middle line. Back to your point there, Blaine. I mean, I was a little bit later on the scene in terms of racing online, but back when I started racing in 2013, there was no such thing really as a dominant middle or outside line of super speedway. It was all run the bottom.
Yeah.
Or if you tried running the top, you just hope that maybe you had the numbers advantage. If you could get maybe 2 cars pinned down on the bottom and have 6 or 7 cars on the top, then you had a fighting chance. But now, as you say, we see the evolution of these super speedways. Now there's a viable middle line. There's a viable third line when you have that checkup on the bottom, or rather in the middle, able to see the double wide and 3 wide race. And it was a concept that really wasn't a thing back even at the points when I ended up racing in the mid-2000s.
You could probably go through and make some I&I changes to try to help that out as well. But you
that's
got to be
kind of what it ended up being. I think it's mostly just changes to the I&R. That's my dog scratching the door. But yeah, the Brian Ring tracks, where he was one of the original guys to kind of modify these things. And simple, not visually, but like just the track surface itself, being able to grip up the lanes different ways. Make it raceable. Especially the super speedway, because what you see on TV is much like this.
They are getting racy, to be sure. No sooner did Dante Ricky. Whoa!
Wesley and McClure, a little bit of contact right there, it looked like, but able to keep everything together, thankfully. That's right at the front of the field.
Dante saw that run coming on the inside line there, being led by Brian Schilling. Went down to cover. Now finds himself 3 wide for the race lead. Chuck McClure leading that high line. Randy Waugh caught in the middle. McClure with a good push from Tim Nofsker. He's going to be clear of all 3 lanes. Now let's see if he stays up there on the top, or does he maybe move down to the bottom. But he'll stay up there with the 088, at least for the moment. Greg Palmer right there with him. Ellie Causey as well. Ooh, some movement there out of the 088. And when they're stacked up, what is this, about 6-7 rows deep of 3 wide, any little twitch, maybe not necessarily for the drivers out there, they're probably pretty comfortable. For us up here in the booth watching them.
Man, Dante Ricky, man, he's having some connection issues
good
there. That is cannot be a good feeling right there for Brian Schilling to see that in front of you.
All it's going to take is just one errant move. We could have a lot of torn up race cars here.
Helicopter camera just showing you, as much as I can. It's kind of a boring camera angle, but I kind of like it too in situations like this where you can almost see the entire field and how they do this from a bird's eye view.
Now, I have noticed. I'm sorry, go ahead, Kyle.
I was just going to say, somebody I've noticed that has already moved up there. Somebody started pretty deep in the field last week's winner, Bob Seminara, right there, running behind the one of Jeremy Jeffries, already up into the top 10.
And I was going to mention, too, there were quite a number of drivers that started out back, like Seminara, right behind Rodney Sullins. They've marched their way forward. I noticed that there's kind of been different varying agendas for a lot of drivers that ended up getting the qualifying draw at the rear of the field. While those guys have moved their way forward, other drivers like Josh Metallic and Donnie Garrett, they've fallen to the back. We've got more wrecking up ahead as well.
No, Surratt got some air there.
Mike Mangialardi, like Doug Hulick, RJ Cabana. We got one upside down here. Paglia in the 28. There's a car in front of him, too. Greg Lovell came into this race 5th in points. We've had multiple cars going up and over, it looks like.
Milt just got tagged again, and he was actually sitting still. I don't even know where to start.
Bernie Mobs with some damage on the 31.
Yeah, it's a bad break there for Bernie Mobs, who was one of the 2 drivers we highlighted coming into tonight, tied for that cut line spot, 12th in the standings.
See where this started.
Oh, wow.
Somebody warped there, it looks like.
Greg Lovell.
Linked in and out.
That was a crazy...
I think he appeared in someone's race car.
Oh, my.
I think it was Bernie's?
On my screen, he's like a ping pong ball. He's all over the place.
Wow.
That car disappears, goes upside down, up into outer space, and then just goes across the track and sweeps everybody off it. That's not a glitch, ladies and gentlemen. That's lag. Yeah, that's not a glitch in the game. That's an internet connection problem. And unfortunately, that just demolished a bunch of cars.
Just about everybody back behind that got involved. Joe DeSpirito got flipped upside down. Mark Paglia got flipped upside down. I think both Godfrey and Javier Negron, they ended up catching air. Whether they completely flipped, I'm not 100% certain. Just about everybody that was behind that got bits and pieces of that wreck, some worse than others.
That looked like a cheat code that you would see back in a NASCAR video game back in the early 2000s, where you can just destroy half the field at one time.
What was it they called it back then? Lag switching?
Yeah, something like that. Man, that is a shame for everybody involved in that. I mean, just like, how do you avoid that?
You can't. It's impossible. I want to see what happened to Milt, because he was actually in front of it, the 80, that Tide car. So you see the accident happen behind him.
And there were a lot of key drivers
selected
up there.
Upside down. Was that the 10 car that was up? Got some air as well.
Yeah, Terry Bombard. When we talk about Bernie Mobs collected up in this. Greg Lovell, who was 5th in points. I mean, DeSpirito came into this race 21st in points. Multi-time former champion. All torn up, and looks like he's actually done for the night. Ulysses Sandoval was caught up in that. Didn't look like he got too much damage from what I saw, but he's 8th in points. Mark Paglia, who I would be surprised if he's not done for the evening after we saw him up and over. He was 10th in points. I mean, there's a lot of drivers, key drivers that were around either above or below that cut line that got collected up. Doug Kulik in the 23, he's just below the cut line, 14th in points. He was only minus 11 to 12th in the standings. John Godfrey was minus 12, 15th in points. I mean, there were like maybe a half dozen drivers or more around that cut line that were collected up in just that wreck alone.
What's up, guys?
What are you doing here?
Did you drop out of the race?
Yeah. If you go back and watch the 80 when he was stuck in the wall, I was taking a drink of my drink and I didn't know there was a car there, and next thing I know, bam.
Yep. Oh. We showed that on the broadcast. I didn't say nothing, but you did. Yeah, he ran right into Milt after Milt had already crashed.
He was like speeding on the wall or running, or what do you call it, spinning his tires, and then it turned him sideways, and just that little bit of sideways put him right in my way.
Yeah.
Just killed the looked like it killed the engine right there where it hit him. But
which sucks because I had gotten through the main wreck, even though I was kind of involved. I got through the main wreck with no damage. Hey, you win some, you lose some.
That is one of the weirdest wrecks I have seen. Somebody have, that kind of connection issue, and
yeah, I didn't know what the heck happened. It was just like suddenly car was spinning. I had to be the resident Cody for the day. Started in the back, just couldn't get to the front, and then I was like, well, it didn't work out great for me.
Is the NHL season back underway after the Olympics?
Yep, it is.
Okay, guessing the Panthers are playing at home, so that's probably
Cody told me it seemed like it was fate that the week after he made it into the top 30 in points, the Panthers are playing at home, so he wasn't able to race tonight.
Imagine choosing hockey over a video game.
When you got season tickets, it's not cheap.
I know. I was
Yeah.
being sarcastic.
Yeah. Probably cost them a few grand. You probably don't want to miss too many of them. Let me see here. Currently, they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. And it's the third period, and the Panthers are beating them 3-1. Panthers scored all 3 goals in the first period. Toronto just got one. But they're going to lose.
So the Panthers, if I'm not mistaken, are the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champions.
Yeah. Yep. And we don't, at least I'm not a Leafs fan. I tend to just call them the Toronto Make-Beliefs. So, yeah, whatever. We're Bruins. We're Bruins family. Boston.
We got the lights out on the pace car here. Currently, scoring is showing 6 total drivers out of the race from that wreck, including Doug Hewlick, Greg Lovell, John Godfrey, Joe DeSpirito, Terry Bombard, and of course Michael Norman. I mean, this literally puts Joe DeSpirito must win next week. I don't know how far away from the 20th in the standings cut line he's going to be with this DNF, but for the multi-time champion to make it into the playoffs, he's going to have to win next week and hope that not only that he gets the win, but that he accumulates enough points to jump into the top 20 to get one of those wild card spots.
There's going to be a lot of nervous people next week.
Oh, yeah.
Green flag back in the air. Looks like the 21 actually beat the 17.
Caution's out
right?
again.
Yep.
Caution's out again.
Yellow flag back in the air. Looks like maybe they might have waved off the yellow.
They might have. You mean the green?
Yeah.
The green
They
flag, yeah.
definitely waved to the yellow.
Almost came out immediately. I'm not seeing where an admin threw the yellow flag.
I can't believe Mark Paget was still out there.
Maybe somebody dropped debris or something. I don't know if that's possible.
Look at the 80 car. Like, the entire rear end is off that car.
Javi Negron and Mark Paglia are out there with roof damage still as well. But, I mean, that's the thing, right? If the engine's still running, you're almost obligated with how close the points are, especially the situation that Paglia himself is in coming into tonight, to try and run all the laps that your car will let you. Maybe be able to get enough points, a decent enough finish here tonight to be able to keep yourself above the cut line.
I'm just shocked this car is letting him run laps. I thought that the hit that he took, I thought he'd be done
You know
for
the
the night
reason
after
for
that.
yellow, Rodney?
Car's got some life in it.
I'm not sure about whether it'd be a debris caution that soon after going green or not, but with the number of drivers that we have that are damaged goods at the rear of the field, that would not necessarily be outside the realm of possibility.
Wouldn't you get a black flag before that happened? Like if you're dropping debris?
Potentially.
Yeah, I just asked Rodney. He's probably busy talking to people. He didn't hear me, but... Pits should be open, I do believe, right?
I believe so. They had just caught up
Yeah.
to the pace car there, but we're going to have a number of drivers hitting pit road.
Oh, Schilling spun out. Makarski checked up as to not run him over.
You mentioned about that good launch that Randy Wall got on that top side. When the caution comes out, field is frozen, and he was ahead of McClure by half a car length by virtue of that good launch, so he's actually going to be the leader when we go back green.
Speaking of good launch, we could change this into food. I had a great lunch. It was a ham sandwich. Tune in next week for more jokes.
And now it's time for Dad Jokes with Blaine.
Pretty much, yep. Trying to get a hold of Rodney here, see why that yellow came out. Hey, Rodney, you got me?
This is going to be a big break for a couple of drivers. We do have a few cars that are off the lead lap Javier Negron and Mark Paglia. Obviously, the extensive damage that they had in their race cars. Lengthy stay on pit road for repairs. Javier lost a lap in the duration. Mark Paglia lost 2. So Javier will get back in the lead lap. Paglia will go to 1 lap down and hope for maybe a future yellow to get him back onto the lead lap and improve on his current running position, which is right now last car running in the 34th position.
He's got some pretty good damage, so his roof is all smushed.
I don't remember if it was last season or the season prior. I want to say it was Tim Nofsker was involved in a massive wreck. Had tumbled, had roof damage. I think he had damage on just about every side of his race car. Kept seeing him get lapped. He would then get a yellow flag not too long after he would get lapped. I'm pretty sure he brought a wrecked car home inside of the top 15. There's still a long ways to go in this race, so it's not outside the realm of possibility that drivers that are obviously going to be majorly off the pace, like Milt Surratt, Javier Negron, Mark Paglia, that we may end up seeing them top 10, top 15 in the final finishing results at the end of the night.
That is quite possible. Saw a couple of cars I remember last week that were running a lap down throughout a good portion of the race and ended up coming back, finishing in the top 10 after all the madness that happened on that last lap. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. As the pace car lights are off, we're going to go back to reading this time by it. Notice Jeremy Jeffries came back
Radio control.
Right before the one to go was given.
Green comes out.
We're going back green at an interesting time, just a little bit prior to when these drivers would have had to make their first green flag pit stop had we gone green from the start.
Roger that.
Around
Thanks,
that lap
Rodney.
18-19 mark. So it might be why we end up seeing a couple of drivers, including the aforementioned Jeffries, dive onto pit lane here.
A couple of other cars I saw back there. One of them was Ulysses Sandoval, and I couldn't tell who that car was behind him. So a couple guys playing some strategy right now. It was RJ Cabana was the other car I noticed right behind him. So
just got an update from Rodney. They're going to run, once they go green, they're going to go slow just to figure out some black flags and stuff. I guess they had to just do some resorting. Yeah, yellow's back out again. So they're going to, there's some issues, I guess, behind the scenes with the order in which the cars are running, I would think. Question in the YouTube chat there too. Why always Talladega and not another track? This is a fan favorite just because they run truck physics here too. I mean, the racing's great, as you can see. And this, of course,
it's not going to let us go.
Rolling Thunder, this is the Talladega Challenge. So they run Talladega every single week.
Well, a couple of seasons back, they ran not just Talladega, but they would alternate each week between Talladega and Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway. And then I think it was either last season or the season before that, they decided to go back to just Talladega.
But Burnt Screwdrivers is just a different version of Talladega, right?
Basically, but it's a night version, and there's probably some other differences I can't quite remember. But
it raced a little differently. Both tracks raced a little bit differently. You had more so at Talladega when they had the alternating schedule where the middle line was the dominant lane. When you went to Burnt Screwdrivers Raceway, it was really normally the inside line was the dominant lane. So you had to approach both tracks entirely differently with your strategy.
This is not a slow motion. All these guys are doing
way out there now.
I'm not sure exactly what it is they're trying to figure out here. I'm almost wondering if maybe they're having to let the pace car come around and catch them.
Do you have control of TeamSpeak? Can you grab Rodney and just bring him in here? We'll give him an interview.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I'm trying to talk to him on Whisper, but he can't really hear me. And then, of course, you guys are talking as well, and I feel like I'm messing up the broadcast. So.
All right, yeah, let's dial him up here. Hey, Rodney, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Hey, I do. What's going on, fellas?
Well, we're trying to figure out what's going on here. Can you give us a little insight of what's going on with these pacing laps here and what you guys are trying to sort out?
Yeah, it seems like the pace car, we should have stayed behind the pace car because it come out so quickly. And and we were just going to go green and then drive slow and clear blacks. But the game is not letting us go green. It's throwing a caution every time. So what we're doing is slowing down and letting the pace car come back around us.
Okay.
Well, he's just
Hope
coming
you
into the
understood that. I got a
tri-oval.
lot of talking in my ear.
He's just coming into the tri-oval now, so I guess we're going to have a couple more of these.
Yeah, that's why I'm doing 15 at Talladega.
Even the corkscrew up here in Bowmanville at Mausport's not that slow.
Right. I'm afraid to do too much. I don't want this engine to let go.
This ain't going to be good for the average speed of this race.
Oh, right, right.
If you care, Rodney, pace car is in turn 1. Pace car is in turn 2.
Right. Oh, I see your broadcast there.
And we're watching them drive through all you guys. Thank goodness this is a NASCAR race in 2002 season. Otherwise, you'd all be toast right now.
All right. I've never experienced this before. Hey, there goes the pace car.
There he goes.
Yeah, neither have we. I've seen some cars get trapped behind the pace car, and depending when yellows come out. But that's strange. The whole field got left behind, I guess.
Yeah, I've never seen it where it throws the caution immediately afterwards. I've seen scenarios like this where you have to let the pace car come back around, but I've never seen it actually throw the yellow immediately after going green. So this is a new one for me.
Yeah, it would. We would come around through 3 and 4, and somewhere in 3 and 4 it would go. Whatever it says. Hey, we're not going green. Hold the one to go.
Oh, I see. So yeah, you guys were out of sequence.
Yeah, so we couldn't. It would never give us the green.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, looks like you guys are all good to go now. Lights on out in the pace car, so we'll let you get back to it. Good luck.
Hey, thanks. Appreciate it.
Appreciate Rodney coming up here, filling us in on.
That was a lot easier.
Yeah.
One of the strangest things I've ever seen in a race. That is for sure.
Reminded me of a super speedway race I was a part of where we were so close to make it on fuel, and everybody was literally running, I believe it was at Daytona, running 20 to 25 miles per hour through the corners, clutching, just to make sure we could make it the rest of the way. But they saved a few laps here of fuel in running as slow as they did.
Yeah, I wonder if this is going to affect pit strategy for the rest of the race. Lap number 20, we're going to get the green flag here.
Yeah, because in a scenario like that, you wouldn't want to hit the pits because then it might mess the pace car up even more. Who knows what could happen?
All right, pace car stayed put at the end of pit road. We're good to go.
The admins, I can see now the admins are going to have their work cut out for them. Now they got about 8 or 9 black flags they're clearing. I can see on my sheet.
They have a coded EXE where they're able to put in a command and it will actually clear every black flag in order of how they were on the qualifying draw. Get all the black flags, usually, especially at a super speedway, usually get them all cleared before they come back around to complete the next lap.
That is extremely convenient right there. I didn't know there was such a thing, so that is amazing.
You want to hear something crazy? I was co-hosting with Andrew on Tuesday at Hobo. They've now combined forces with American Online Racing. And AOR has a website built that controls the game in its entirety. So it will send out chat messages to tell you who's lucky dogs, who's lap down, who's not lap down. It'll clear blacks. It'll throw yellows. When the race is over, it banks the export and uploads it to their website. So within 10 seconds, you can see the race results on their website.
Wow.
The entire thing, it's called auto admin. The entire thing is controlled by a web server. The whole game. Like their admins don't need to do anything.
This is for NR2003.
This is NR2003.
Wow.
Andrew had a race at Top Dragster. He was broadcasting, asked me to help co-host, and I'm going, I've never seen this. It's so cool. The website runs the whole thing, and it chats to the drivers too. It tells them what's going on. So you'll see it come up on your screen. You know, the 17 is a lucky dog, and it'll update every lap.
Say it all the time.
Wild.
For a game that came out in the early 2000s, constantly evolving. That's why it's still around.
Completely. It's called, I think it was called Auto Admin, or at least that's what they were calling it, because it's an automatic administrator. It was crazy. And then the thing too, when the race was done, it saved the export and uploaded it to the website so you could see it online. Like within a minute. It was crazy.
This game is probably more advanced than iRacing. The way this is sounding, I mean, this is just mind-boggling. A game that came out in, for the 2003 season, and it's just.
Yeah. There was a guy that has live telemetry from this. I'm not sure, if you could do it in a live broadcast situation, but he was able to get his, not just the pedal and brake inputs, but the RPMs and the wind resistance and the G-forces and all that stuff, tire temperatures, all. People are always working on something. Because the information's all there. But how do you pull it out and display it? And people are figuring out how to do it. Madness, I tell you.
Scarily impressive.
Mm-hmm. Very cool.
It looks like 3 laps ago, badly damaged Toyota Javier Negron came to pit road. He is out of the race. So that brings our retiree total up to 7. Just looking up here at the front of the field, you've got the black, blue, and orange number 88 of Grant Wesley prominently there in the 3rd position. But look at the drivers all around him. We talked about the possibility of going 7 for 7 in different winners this season. Randy Waugh, Chuck McClure, Rodney Sullins, Ken Roberts, Greg Palmer, Brian Lovell, Graham McDonald. All these drivers have a 0 in the win column, all up here at the front. Might be talking to one of those drivers in victory lane here at the end of the evening. We mentioned about Bob Seminara, beginning of the night, ending a lengthy winless streak of his own. Randy Waugh's been in the conversation quite a bit here the last couple of seasons for a victory, just not been able to close out the deal. Could tonight be his night?
Very well could be, including this season. Pretty sure he's had 1 or 2 second place finishes this season, been awfully close, and currently out in front right now. So wouldn't be the least bit surprised to see him win this thing here tonight.
And you can see on the screen there the winners so far in the first 6 races: Schilling, Wesley, Nosker, Metallic, Martin, and Seminara. It was Anderson, but they changed race 6 to Seminara.
Most of the field has gone single file. They tried getting a line going on the outside there. Speaking of Anderson, he was leading that for a little bit there.
Now Brian Schilling, Jeremy Jeffries kind of left on an island on that inside line. Got some assistance coming there. That now black and orange, number 39 of Josh Metallic. We've seen him running some Ryan Newman throwback schemes, the U.S. Army scheme, the Altel scheme last couple of weeks. He's now back in the familiar papaya orange, the Pato Award colors there for McLaren. Got a fellow orange machine behind him and Tim Nofsker.
I was about to say, that is a spotter's nightmare right there, seeing 2 similar painted cars running nose to tail like that.
Surprised Josh changed to the orange version of that thing. He's been having really good luck with the blue one.
A couple cars going up another lap down on the outside there. Mark Pagula, and I believe that's is that Milt Surratt also going a lap down? Yes, it is.
These drivers here thundering around at between 195 to almost 200 miles per hour. Those drivers they just went by, lucky if they were able to get up to 175 single car speed. Well, the drivers that started at the rear of the field have done a nice job of not only getting through that big wreck, but also gaining track position in the process. Denny Carroll and Donnie Garrett right now in the 9th and 10th positions respectively. Denny Carroll came in tied with Bernie Mobbs. for 12th in the standings. Right now has his Chevrolet prominently inside of the top 10. Donnie Garrett, who we mentioned, has really struggled here in the first 6 races of the season. Looking for something to go right here, and he also ended up starting deep in the field. Right now, both those drivers just kind of riding here in this single file train that stretches all the way back to roughly around, looks like the 16th, 17th position.
And once again, it's Tim Anderson leading that line on the bottom now. It's like most of the field has migrated to that middle line.
I think most of these drivers on the inside line, I think you pointed this out, Kyle, were drivers that came to pit road either in the next to last or the 1 to green lap before we ended up having the restart. So they're a little bit better on fuel than the other drivers. I think they're now in turn trying to gain back that track position they lost when they ended up coming to pit road late. Just not being able to make up a whole lot of ground there. They don't really have the numbers. The momentum certainly seems to be up there in that middle groove.
One of those cars that came to pit road was the one of Jeremy Jeffries. See him on the bottom right there, the third car on the inside. And I believe Ulysses Sandoval was another one, but he's on the outside right now behind the 29 car.
I was just reading back in my YouTube chat there after Greg had his little internet spike, and someone tell that man to get off the McDonald's Wi-Fi. That teleportation was wild. And then, of course, right after that, though, despite all that, NASCAR Racing 2003 season is the best racing game of all time. I think we can all agree with that one.
Oh, yeah. Look at this.
Did Watt do that on purpose?
I'm not sure.
That's strange. They're all migrating to the bottom, which means we're probably getting ready for pit stops in the next 3 laps or so. And rest in peace, Bob Dixon. He would have gone early.
Purpose.
No.
Went back and just looked at it there, and he pushed up off of turn 2 with just enough room for McClure to be able to cross to that left rear quarter panel. Randy tried to get back down in front, but it was too late. Chuck was already alongside of him. So Randy's going to fade outside of at least the top 10 here to see where exactly he slots. Looks like in maybe 11th place behind Bob Seminara.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see. Yeah, we're watching the replay now. The 17 goes underneath him, and everybody followed. So Waugh from first back there to about 11th.
You mentioned about Greg Lovell having that connection problem out of the race in the 36th position. So we at least know one of the drivers that will be moving on to the semifinals on the winner's side of the Bracket Challenge Series. Brian Schilling with the retirement of the 880. Still up for grabs, though, is the battle between Grant Wesley and Bob Seminara, who will win out in that battle to eventually then face off against Brian Schilling next week. Right now, Grant up here towards the front in P2. Seminara not that far back. He's right now holding down the final spot in the top 10.
Got your points leader and your 4th place man in points going at it. That's an interesting showdown there.
We went back green on lap 20. Some drivers came to pit road just before we went back green. A lot of drivers, though, ended up staying out under our second caution. I'd say somewhere in the next 5 laps potentially here, we're going to start to see a number of our front runners make the dive onto pit road. We've said it all season long. Pit road has played just as much a part into how well your finishing result is going to be in terms of execution as what takes place up above that yellow line. Might have some drivers pitting already. I'm seeing some radios lighting up. Might have some hands out the window. Let's see if anybody makes the dive this time off of turn 4.
I got one here. Got the 92.
Seminara and Bond.
Bernie Mobs as well. Looks like that Sitco Chevrolet is still up to speed despite the back-end damage he had from that wreck off of turn 2. Was involved in that warp wreck, so that's at least a good sign for him. As he came in one of the 2 cut line drivers.
Lap car staying low.
Like Billy Elliser pitted the lap prior, just now getting up to speed.
Yeah, that's the, you know, why wouldn't he go high? I mean, he just came out of the pits. He couldn't.
More radios lighting up.
This might be a bunch. Yep.
Yes, indeed.
Whoa. Somebody realigning the front end back there.
Oh, so far, so good.
That was Kazi. Kazi locked him up.
They all made it. Saw maybe a couple of drivers bump into the back of the car in front of them, but everybody kept it pointed in the right direction. Now it's a matter of we all made it onto pit road, but did we get it woed up to the 55 miles per hour?
I think the 020
will be on the case.
I think the 024 of Dennis McCarthy. I saw him lock them up too there, but everybody else seemed to do a really nice job coming on pit road. Everybody did, really, for the most part.
It's like fuel only for everybody here. Grant Wesley, I believe, is going to win the battle off of pit road of that particular group. They were 4 wide at one point there coming off of pit lane.
Well, this group right here can go a number of laps further. I'm not sure how exactly, like how many more exactly, but you know, these
Maybe
are guys
2 or 3 laps.
That I remember they came to pit road when they got the initial one to go before they ran another extra lap or 2 under caution.
Jason Scheck in the 81 just came to the pits, but he was all by himself, unfortunately.
But we're waiting for 5 drivers to complete the cycle. Schilling, Jeffries, Harris, Ricky, and Sandoval.
There goes Cabana. He's on pit road now, too. Green flag pit stops always shake it up. Here they come.
Dilling in this time.
Whoa,
same for
my
Jeffries.
goodness.
Whoa, Dante, a late call to pit road.
Whoa,
He's not
boy.
going to make it.
Wow. Yeah, that was Dante? Holy moly.
Jeremy Jeffries as well almost went out into the grass.
I have to keep an eye on that one. Dante might get a... Because did he get inside the commitment cone? It looked like he may have lost it. I'm gonna back
He
it
got
up
inside
here
the
and check
commitment cone, but I would be really surprised if he got that thing woe down. He carried a ton of speed to the commitment line.
that. We'll ride on board with him in a replay and see how that looked from his view here.
It's weird. Like it was like he called a really late dive to pit road. Like he was fully expecting that maybe the group here that he came down pit road with was going to go an extra lap. And
I
made
think...
that really quick left-hand turn there.
He was really close to the car in front of him, though, and I don't think he might have been coming to pit road. He just did not expect the braking point of the car in front and had to make an evasive maneuver not to hit him. That was amazing driving, regardless. He avoided that car. Who was that? That looked like it might have been Nate. Oh, no, it was the 8. That's Harris. The fact that he got that thing slowed down inside the cone on the grass and didn't spin that thing out.
What amazes me, we saw a big pack of cars coming down pit road. Really no problems there. And the biggest close call we saw was a group of 5 cars coming to pit road.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, wait till
No
everything
black flags.
completely cycles around. But yeah, it looks like with that massive pack that we had come to pit road altogether, the near mayhem with those 5 drivers the following lap, looks like everybody is clean in terms of no pit road penalties here on this cycle.
No, there's
and
a
as
couple.
soon as I say that,
Yep.
Dante Ricky, Jeremy Jeffries, 2 who I kind of wondered about when we
Yeah.
saw how fast they were coming onto pit road. Scoring just showed them both issued black flags.
I was trying to push the black flag button and I missed. Ignore the man behind the curtain. If you're watching the broadcast. There it is.
Tough break there for Dante Ricky as Obviously, he's not running full time, as he's just now coming down to serve his black flag. Jeremy's going to stay out an extra lap here and hope maybe a caution saves him. So Dante's so far down in the point standings. I don't even think with a victory tonight he'd be able to get enough points next week to get a wild card spot. So he's just out here trying to race for victories. For Jeremy Jeffries, though, this is not the situation he was looking for, as last week a great run moved him up 7 spots in the standings from 23rd to 16th. This black flag penalty coming to come down pit road is going to lose him multiple spots, multiple points, and potentially multiple spots in the standings again.
Man.
Maybe opening up that gap between him and that 12th position in the points.
He hot hit that thing and hit the line at 100. I hope it doesn't get him again. I mean, he knows what he's doing, so he's probably fine, but we're going to find out pretty quick.
That would just be a dagger through the heart right there if that were to happen.
That's a penalty that's going to cost him at least 17 positions. He would have cycled around to 13th had he not gotten the black flag. He's now going to find himself more than likely on the tail end of the lead lap, back around the 30th position.
He did his drive-through, but now he stopped at the line, at the stripe, the start-finish line.
Did the car just quit on him?
He's creeping.
He's not able to get the car in gear.
Oh, man.
Something's going on, yeah.
He just threw it into neutral, into reverse, back to first gear. The car's not firing.
What's going on tonight? I've never seen this either.
The car's obviously still under
It's
power.
still
The
running.
rear tires are spinning.
Huh.
Down off the racing surface, but there we go. He was able to find whatever the issue was. He was able to remedy it, gets it refired. But man, that's even worse of a situation for him.
Oh.
Is there a full moon somewhere where some of these guys live tonight? I mean, man.
Dante running really low there on the tri-double. I think he was actually planning on giving Jeremy a shove to get him going if it was needed.
Wonder if it was like a controller issue. Maybe he had like a USB cord come out or something out of his pedal.
Don't know.
I mean, yeah.
If that were the case, though, I'm not sure why the rear tires would have been spinning.
Right. Something that's neat, to say the least. Here's your leader, the 88 of Wesley.
That's going to put Jeffries multiple laps down. I don't know how many exactly, but and heading into next week, there's a couple of guys that are
I'm telling you,
under
you
a
hate
must
to see
win.
These drivers have these situations tonight, but that is going to be some really interesting storylines for next week.
Oh, yeah.
Number of former champions, must-win territory, Despirito, potentially now Jeremy Jeffries. I mean, these guys are good enough when the pressure's off. Can't imagine what they're going to be like when the pressure's on next week in that regular season finale.
It's weird because it's been a fantastic race, but we had that crazy glitch from the 088. And then we had that weird pace car issue where it kept throwing yellows because they were apparently one lap ahead of them. And then that right there, watching Jeremy with the black flag, and yeah. Peculiar.
Do we say every week? No two super speedway races alike. You never know what you're going to get on a Thursday night.
Well, and even right now, like you said, we're here racing 3 wide all the time, and they've been single file for like the past 20 laps.
Ever since they went back to green, they quickly got single file. I mean, there were a couple cars trying to get a second line going, one on the outside, another one on the bottom, but majority of the field, they've just been content to run single file for the time being. I don't expect it to be like that toward the end of the race, but it is different.
They're probably staying single file because they're afraid like a UFO is going to land on the back straightaway or something. Enough crazy stuff's happened already. Why not?
I was going to say, I wouldn't rule that out of the realm of possibility.
There's been a lot of unusual things that have happened at the Talladega Super Speedway in real life. Maybe it's carrying over to the game here tonight.
Yeah, it's haunted.
Maybe we already saw the UFO. Maybe that's what beamed up Greg Lovell earlier.
You know what? Yeah. Yep.
But one reason why they might be single file, at least for the time being here, is we just crossed the line to start lap 46. Next time by, we will be in the window to make it the rest of the way on fuel. So we are one stop to the finish. really going to come down to exactly when that pit stop is, because if it's on a specific lap, pretty much the median of when everybody's going to have to come to pit road, if you pit just before, if you pit just after that specific lap, could be a difference in whether you're going to take on maybe a half can of fuel or a full can of fuel. Most of these drivers under green flag pit stops, they've gone fuel only, no tires. May not seem like much, but taking a half can of fuel less saves you time on pit road, subsequently gives you better track position once everything cycles around. So that might be why we see the single file here. Might have a lot of drivers saving fuel during the course of this run to try and get to the number that would be past the taking a can of fuel and being able to take on a half can instead.
Riding on board with Jeffries here. He's drafting with Dante. They're about to get lapped, and his clutch just went in, and the rev limiter was popping. Something weird going on with that car.
Well, for Dante, he'll be going a lap down. For Jeremy, he's going to go a second lap down, already -1. Currently being scored in the 30th position. So why that's a bad news for Jeremy Jeffries is, with less than 20 laps to go, currently we have 3 other drivers 1 lap down ahead of the position that Jeremy is currently scored. It's extremely unlikely that we'd have enough cautions for him to get enough lucky dogs to get back onto the lead lap now. Bernie Mobs giving way to the leaders as well. He's going to go a 4th lap down as the driver of the 31. I mean, the good news is he's still out there logging laps. The bad news is he's -4 in the 32nd position. So I would wonder if Bernie Mobs will still be in the top 12 in points at the conclusion of this race or not.
Seminara coming to pit road.
Interesting call here for the 712. But then again, this is what having a victory last week, knowing you're locked into the playoffs, will do. He's coming to pit road just after the window opened. He's going to take on some tires here as well, get it packed full of fuel, and then maybe hope that a caution comes out where everybody else is going to have to come to pit road and he cycles to the front. Why not gamble? Why not try something outside the box? See if you can get back-to-back victories here this season.
Left sides only for him too, I think. That's an interesting strategy. I was thinking of the same thing. Like, you could just... He can make it to the end. Yeah, go way ahead of everybody. Get a lot of time to get back up there.
The only concern I would have, he was the only one to come down pit road, so he's out there, doesn't have anybody to draft with right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it, situation for him right now, he doesn't really have any teammates. Bernie Mobs is multiple laps down off the pace. Joe DeSpirito's out of the race.
Well, they've been running single file for long enough now. Ulysses has got the second line going there.
Got some help from Josh Metallic, Brian Schilling, Tim Nofsker up there. These might be some drivers who now feel that they comfortably can reach that window we're talking about. I was saying that it might be a difference between taking a can of fuel to a half can. I think it's actually going to be taking a can of fuel to a can and a half in terms of the amount of time you could potentially save. And with these 4 drivers taking the longer way around the racetrack, I think they might now feel that whenever they come to pit road, they can safely just take on the can of fuel to get them the rest of the scheduled distance.
When it comes to saving fuel and gambling on fuel, we know Ulysses is never afraid to gamble when it comes to that, so can't say I'm surprised to see him play a little bit of a different strategy here.
Looking here at this lead group, and one driver that might find himself in a pretty nice situation heading into next week's regular season finale is the driver that number 92, Bobby Farrell. Potentially the 22 of Greg Palmer up here in this lead group as well. Why? Well, we've already documented the issues for Bernie Mobs here tonight. Doug Kulik is out of the race. He was 14th in points. John Godfrey is out of the race. He was 15th in points. And Jeremy Jeffries, 16th in points, is currently running 2 laps down. Bobby Farrell, 17th in the standings, came into tonight 16 points below the cut line. With all those drivers 12th down through 15th in points having issues tonight, he could find himself inside the top 12 in the standings going into next week.
Good call. anything can happen. That's why they show up here every week and race it.
So far, only 3 drivers have led double-digit laps here tonight. Randy Waz led the most, 16 circuits out in front. Grant Wesley about to come around and lead his 15th. Driver behind him, Chuck McClure, has led 10. So Wesley, in the next couple of laps, provided he stays out in front, would nab that valuable extra bonus point for most laps led, surpassing the 16 previously led by the driver of the 21. Like Seminara is going to latch on maybe with this lead group. That'd be big there for the driver of the 712. Seeing some radios potentially lighting up. I don't know if it's for drivers in this lead group or not. Yep, 92 of Bobby Farrell, 43 our pole sitter Richard Martin coming to pit road. So this is coming to pit lane at 13 laps to go. So these drivers will have to take on a can and a half of fuel to get to the end. If any drivers can stretch it as far as lap 56's completion onto 57, they will only have to take a can.
I forget about all those numbers. Yeah, you know how far you can go on a splash, on a half, on a can and a half, and on 2 full tanks. So that's all strategy. Seminara clearly just went for two full cans.
But he's latched onto the tail end of this lead group, so he should be with the lead group once everything cycles around as well. Here comes the leaders.
Whole bunch of them coming down here.
Oh,
Nofsker!
Almost.
Loops it around. Doesn't hit anybody, but he's going to lose a lot of track position as a result. Again, another driver very fortunate to have a victory already in the bank. Knows that he'll be battling for the championship in a couple of weeks' time. There's the lead over to Ulysses Sandoval. In this group right now, looks like 5 drivers on the lead lap in this pack, along with Metallic. Shea Cabana is on the lead lap. Oh no, maybe he might be a lap down. Looks like Brian Lovell's coming down here with the group of 4, Sandoval, Metallic, and Schilling.
On board with Sandoval.
This is lap 55. They couldn't quite make it to 56.
Nope. I don't think anybody was able to get to that window to be able to make it on a can. Pretty sure that was the last of the drivers that needed to pit. So the strategy of Bob Seminara not looking too terrible right now. We'll have to see if he will cycle up with the lead group once everybody's able to draft back up to each other. Right now, pretty broken up, that larger group that came to pit lane. Donnie Garrett, for a brief moment, was going to be the leader, but he's now going to have faster machines going by him. And Wesley, I think, is going to cycle out to the race lead here as they'll make their way around the 39 of Josh Metallic. They will have a speed advantage, momentum advantage on Lovell, Sandoval, and Schilling, who are up ahead. Can these top 3 get themselves up to speed quickly enough to counter that? We'll have to see. I'm not 100% convinced that these drivers here didn't go with a can of fuel. It's risky. They were outside the window being able to do it, but I'm not convinced that they didn't. The fact that they were able to build as big of a gap as they did here, I think that they gambled and went with a can of fuel here. Maybe hoping that this race ends under yellow and allowing them to be able to save what they are lacking in the final pacing laps.
So they wouldn't be able to make it, is what you're saying.
Don't think so. You never know. But I don't
Brian
think so.
Schilling is, we all know Brian Schilling is great when it comes to saving fuel, but he's out in front right now. You're not going to save any fuel that way.
Yeah, when you're the one breaking all the air, that's a lot of friction on the front of that car.
96 and 44, they might be in little bit better shape to try to make it.
0.2 of a second faster was Grant Wesley and his group to the top 3, and they have caught the draft of the 44. Here comes that pack.
Caught him in a hurry.
He's going to make the move to the bottom. Nothing that these top 3 can do to try and play defense. If you go down there to block, you're more than likely getting turned around. I mean, we're talking about 5-mile-per-hour difference between the 88 and those 3 drivers now on the outside line. So 8 laps to go here tonight. Scoring right now looks like has 12 lead lap cars in this lead pack. Only former winners on the season in this group would be Wesley, Brian Schilling, and Josh Metallic. There are 9 drivers in this pack that are all looking for their first win of the season. For a few of them, looking for their first win of their careers here on Thursday nights.
Chuck McClure has gone to the lead. I don't know what happened to Grant Wesley right there, but
Lap
Chuck
leaders.
McClure.
I guess.
Whoa! Palmer off the door of, I think that was Denny Carroll, went up into the outside wall, saves it. But he's now got right side damage, and he's going to lose the lead pack.
that right side is destroyed.
No yellow will wave, as the 22 did not spin. Tough break there for Greg. He was another driver like Bobby Farrell who could have really capitalized on a good night to get up there, if not onto just below the 12th in the standings cut line. Now the 024 of Dennis McCarthy, that Jeff Gordon throwback, third in line, he is not on the lead lap. He's currently being scored the first car 1 lap down, but it doesn't mean that he may not play a part in the outcome of this race. Might be able to push somebody to a win here this evening.
And we saw in the instant replay there, Graham McDonald thought he was clear on the 22, and he just tapped him in the driver's side rear quarter panel there, which turned Palmer to the left a little bit, and then off of that car, and then up into the wall. That could have been a whole lot worse, though.
And I just checked, and I do believe, since that didn't bring out a yellow, that would have been a racing incident. I believe the 33 of Graham McDonald just did a pass-through on pit road to make sure that he wasn't going to get a post-race EOL.
Right.
Well, the 024 is not going to play a factor in the finish as he's dropping to the end of the line there.
I think he was staying up there just in case a caution came out to get one of the lucky dogs. Now we've reached pretty much the part of the race, the point of no return. Caution now, wouldn't matter if you got the lucky dog or not, your position would probably stay the same, and that's why he backed out to the tail end of the field.
You can see Mark Pagley on that damaged car coming to the pits, maybe to make a pit stop or just to get out of the way of that lead pack.
Might be coming down to retire. I don't think he can finish any better than where he's at, which is right now last car running in 33rd.
Right.
Sandoval making a move here. He's underneath Brian Schilling for the 3rd spot. He's got some help behind him. Grant Wesley, Denny Carroll, and others.
We've seen Grant and Ulysses last couple of seasons involved in some photo finishes for victories. Now working together here tonight. Ulysses 8th in points. Trying to become the 7th different winner on the season. And they're making up some ground there from the entrance of the corner through the center. Now can they follow up that momentum off corner exit as McClure goes down to cover?
Yeah, McClure saw that inside line coming right there and wisely jumped down in front of Ulysses, who's now locked in a battle with Rodney Solins for second. Looks like Ulysses is going to get by him.
I wonder if Ulysses changes his mind and wants to get pushed by Rodney. Wesley might have that idea.
Him and Wesley are both clear.
Oh, McClure with the heads up.
Oh,
That's getting
And
tight
all
in
taking
there.
some
Wow.
peeks there.
that got tight right there.
Denny Carroll, Donnie Garrett, Randy Waugh on the inside are like, oh no, we just lost those guys to the top line.
Next flag would end the race here. They'll be coming around at 2 to go. Sandoval with a move to the inside. I think he's there, but he doesn't have the drafting help.
Yeah, Grant State didn't go with him that time. And can Denny Carroll get to the back bumper in time here?
Gosh, look at the shoving there on the top side from Schilling to Sullins to Wesley to McClure. And look at that, just propelled that outside lane into turn 1.
Yeah, the Grant was sticking with Ulysses, but not that time.
Top 4 all chain bumping, trying to open up a gap. Back to 5th place. Brian Lovell going to take a look to the inside of Schilling for 4th place.
I
This
love
time
the
by, they'll
drafting.
see the white flag. 1 lap to go.
No, Lovell coming to pit road.
Whoa,
Or no,
what
he's... Don't know what happened there, but
Did
I
he
thought
run out of fuel?
he might have. Yeah.
I think he could have maybe been running out of fuel there or
Remember
something.
him, Ulysses, and Brian Schilling
Oh,
trying something different on when it comes to fuel strategy right here. That might not have worked out there for the 44.
Donnie Garrett, I think, might be out of fuel. He just pulled up to the outside line off of turn 2.
I'm
Sandoval
also
now has
showing-
nobody behind him. He's going to fall back.
Ooh,
Grant looking
Wesley
to the
with
inside.
a move. Is he there? Got no help. Sullins gonna go up maybe to the outside of
for the
McClure.
run the 41 has. They got lap
Yeah, he
chopper
does.
coming up.
Oh, Sullins is there, and he's gonna get some help. Oh, we're gonna be 4 wide coming to the line here.
We thought last week was exciting. Here we go.
Sullins.
They're going to be 3 wide at the
88
line.
on the bottom.
In the
That's-
center,
who's it gonna be? I believe Wesley.
Give it to Grant. My goodness.
4 wide going across for the checker. Wow.
Woo.
Come on, guys. You can't handle this.
And the streak is over with.
Grant's
Turn
gonna
to
become
different
the first
winners.
Multi-time winner in season 67. He almost made that move by himself.
Oh,
my God.
grip flip there.
Now that is a burnout.
He had to do a barrel roll to get that checkered flag.
Scoring just came in.
That
we
might
just
be the
had
greatest.
the top 5 cross the line separated by 96 1,000ths.
That might be the coolest burnout ever. Doing a barrel roll first.
Right? Who needs tires for a burnout? I feel like maybe when we go back and look at the replay, I feel like Wesley almost made that pass by himself. He did get some drafting help from Denny Carroll, but man, the fact that both Rodney and Grant were able to stall the momentum of McClure from pretty much the entrance of the tri-oval to the start-finish line to make it as close as it was is really impressive. I thought Chuck had all 3 lanes pretty much cleared.
I thought Rodney Sullins was in the catbird seat there coming to the line because
I
he
did
had
too.
Josh Metallic right behind him. And it looked like Wesley. Yeah, Wesley didn't have anybody on his back bumper. There's a good bit of space between him and Denny Carroll, but Wesley just had enough momentum to stay in front of the 38 at the line there.
Looking back at the replay there, it actually was when they came off at turn 4, it was a combination bump from Randy Waugh to Denny Carroll to Grant Wesley that launched him. Gave him the momentum he needed to be able to get to the line first. Josh Metallic was not able to quite get to the back bumper of Rodney Sullins until they crossed the start-finish line. So that's how the 88 had the surge that he did. It happened all the way back in turn 4. Well, I mentioned coming into tonight, before we came on the air, Grant Wesley is having himself a season all the way across the board. He is leading the points in all 4 of the weekly series here in RTG. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Friday nights. and he now becomes the first repeat winner here in season 67 of the Talladega Challenge Series.
And he just increased his lead in this series.
Yes, he did.
And stay tuned. We will be going back and watching that replay. I just got to make sure I save it. That way we can actually go comb through it while you guys do the post-race interviewing.
Grant's going to rack up some bonus points, obviously, with this victory tonight. Make an even greater case for himself to win the regular season championship, which also pays out bonus points. And we will be talking with him in Victory Lane, as well as our podium finishers here in just a moment. Rodney Sullins finishing second, and Josh Metallic bringing it home in the third position. Wild race here tonight. A lot of unpredictability, but a crazy finish at the end. Let's see if we can get a hold of our third place finisher here tonight, Josh Metallic. Hey, Josh, the guys up here in the broadcast booth, you got a copy?
I kind of do. A little bit. Yeah, I can hear you.
Wild race here tonight. Unpredictable at times. Had some unusual stuff happen during the course of it, but man, it's one of those races you want to stick around for, because what a finish we had here tonight. Not difficult to see this papaya orange Chevrolet out there on the racetrack this evening. You played a bunch of different strategies tonight, riding at the back, making the charge in the second half of this race, and in the conversation for this victory, I believe when we came to the cycle of pit stops concluding, that final cycle of pit stops, you were the last car in line, able to charge your way up there to finish on the podium. Describe for me just the overall feeling of tonight, of being able to bring it home third as the result.
I've had connection issues all day, and no one can see it on their side, but I was driving with warping cars. It was the most challenging race I've ever done. I don't know how I'm in the top 3 after that, but yeah, they're doing some work in the neighborhood, and my internet is just garbage. I almost didn't race, but everyone said they could see me just fine, but everyone else, it was ugly. If I show you my replay, I'd probably get in trouble for racing when I shouldn't have been out there. It looks that bad, but it was fun, but challenging. That's why I was in the back. I didn't trust my connection, but after a while I realized, as long as I held a straight line, that's what they saw. So at that point I tried to race it up, but yeah, coming from the back when it's single file, it's tough.
Obviously, here tonight, we saw a number of drivers, whether they were in the top 10 in points, if they were around that cut line, or drivers that just needed a good run tonight to keep themselves potentially in the conversation for the championship. When we begin the playoffs in a couple of weeks, run into issues, varying different issues, whether it was mechanical, whether it was technological, incidents on the racetrack, obviously, here that comes with super speedway racing. You got some great momentum here to close out this regular season. You came in tonight third in overall points, a podium finish here this evening. What does this got to do in terms of confidence with the playoffs looming, one more regular season race to go?
Well, every race is its own. You can have a string of good races and then you just get caught up. I've had so much luck overall this season at Talladega in general, whether it's here or at ASR or anywhere else. So I know at some point the law of averages kicks in and I won't be able to avoid all these wrecks I've avoided. Even tonight, dodged a bullet. It was marginal about being able to race, but yeah, when it goes green, I feel pretty good about pit stops. Almost lost the draft, but when you're pitting in a single file that far at the back, it's really tough to hang on. Almost lost it, so yeah, never short on confidence, but it does feel good to overcome some technical gremlins and get a good finish out of it.
Well, solid run for you here tonight. Obviously going to keep you up there in the point range. You were already locked into the playoffs with your win earlier on in the season, but certainly some great momentum here heading into next week, which, based off of what we're seeing, the potential storylines of who may be falling into must-win categories, may be an absolute barn burner next week for a regular season finale. So congratulations on the great run here tonight, prevailing against the internet gremlins that you had there and getting that solid podium finish. Josh, before we let you go, the floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Thank you. Well, I hope you can hear me because, like I said, I'm struggling to hear and see any of the games. So hopefully it's fixed after tomorrow. But yeah, thanks to Tim and Rodney for all the help they provide on Thursdays. shout out to Prime and Shaq and Jeremy, the co-owners. You guys as well, Blaine, Kyle, Seth. Hate to see Michael have trouble. It's kind of a weird night. That pace car deal. Yeah, every time we said we'll just go green and clear flags, it kept throwing the yellow. So we finally had to cut our losses, tell everyone to slow down. So I'm sure that looked confusing on the broadcast. But thanks to all the drivers. We're still filling the server and unfortunately sending guys home. Hate to see it, but if you had to have a type of problem, that's the one you want to have. Too many, not enough. So appreciate all the drivers. Just thanks to everybody, and yeah, it was a fun race. Good run.
Josh, once again, congratulations. A great run for you here tonight. Looks like you're still solidly third in the points heading into next week's regular season finale. Best of luck in that race as you maybe try to get another victory before the playoffs begin and get yourself geared up for the postseason.
Thank you. Good win, Grant. Again.
Josh Metallic, third place here tonight. Ended up crossing the line 88 1/1000ths away from taking this victory. We're going to dial up the driver that brought it home second place here tonight, 28 thousandths of a second short of picking up his first win on the season. Let's get a hold of Rodney Sullins. Hey, Rodney, it's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
What's happening, guys?
Well, hey, first off, congratulations. The engine made it the full 66 laps. I know that was a big problem for you last week that dropped you in the standings. You gained some of those spots back here tonight with the podium finish, sitting now 7th in the point standings with one race to go. When we were looking at that battle live off of turn 4, it looked like everything was lined up perfectly for you. You made the move, got around the 17. You had the 39 coming up on your back bumper. Were you just as surprised as we were when the 88 got that surge and nipped you at the line?
Well, yeah, I was. I thought I might get it, and I looked into my left monitor, and I seen Grant going by me, under Chuck or going by or whatever, and I'm like, yep, he's got the shorter way around and probably more help. So anyway, yeah, I seen it happen.
Number of drivers having some issues here tonight. A lot of them around that 12th in the standings cut line with getting this finish here tonight. I know it's not the locked into the playoffs with a victory that you were looking for, but with now putting you 7th in the point standings, a little bit of a cushion back to that 12th in the standings cut line. I think by my rough math, you're now 34 points to the good. Is that a little bit of breathing space for you to be able to be maybe a little bit more aggressive next week? Try and see if you can get some bonus points with a victory going into the postseason, or are you going to be maybe a little bit more conservative still next week, just based on the fact that if we continue to have the full fields going into that regular season finale, there's still a lot of points on the table?
Well, I don't know, honestly. That's a really good question. I'm going to have to think about that because I started 38th tonight, and I was going to get on the low line and just play it low, low and slow and just take it easy. And I said, what the heck? Let's just go to the high line. Last week I ran a great race last week, 5 laps to go. I'm top 5 or 10 almost all night, if not all night, and blow up with 5 to go. So I said, what the heck? Let's just get up here and go for it. So got up front doing that. Took a little bit, but got up there. And so I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to take it easy next time or if I'm just going to get up there and do it again. I mean, I guess I'm just going to go for it. I mean, if I get wrecked or something like that, I trust the people around me, then I'll stick my nose, where it don't belong maybe. But that's a good question. I'll have to really think about it. But I think qualified spot always plays a lot into that, because a lot of times if I start middle to the front, I'll just take it easy. Start to the back, I try to take it really easy. But again tonight, I just said, what the heck, let's go. Whatever happens, happens. And it worked out. So I really got to think about it.
Well, we are certainly expecting it to be a crazy race next week with all the different scenarios we're looking at for different drivers to be able to make their way into one of those 12, at least minimum 12 spots in the postseason. Some to point their way in, some to potentially have to win their way in. But as mentioned, a great run for you here tonight. Moves you up into a pretty comfortable spot in the standings, 7th in points going into next week's regular season finale. So congratulations on that. A great run for you here tonight, solidly on the podium. And before we let you go, Rodney, floor is yours for thank you, sponsors, and shout outs.
Well, obviously, I want to thank Flat Out Racing Network, Tarnation TV. You guys are doing a great job. I hope y'all are enjoying it like I am. Seth, Blaine, Kyle, I can't wait to watch this one. It was pretty exciting there at the end. But appreciate you guys. You guys are doing a great broadcast. I think it's working out great. Rolling Thunder Gaming, Prime, Josh, Jeremy Sheck, the owners here. Probably forgetting somebody. All the admins here at RTG. Josh and Tim, the guys that I work with to put this show together on Thursdays. Appreciate those guys still letting me hang around. Also want to kind of think about the Bones family, the Cannon family tonight. Bones' wife, Leanne, if y'all haven't heard, she passed away this past week, so she's with Bones now. So our thoughts and prayers are with the Cannon family. So, it's been a tough time for them and her. So I believe Prime said it's 200 days after Bones passed that she passed. So we're thinking about them. I want to thank Black Rifle Coffee, Cabana Brisa Wickers. Congrats to Grant. That was a great job. He got to push at the right time. I want to thank our donor and recognize all our RTG people that's fallen in the past and all the soldiers in our military. Last but not least, I want to thank my teammates at RPM, my dad for watching. Pretty sure he's watching. My cousin Eric. Hope you're enjoying this show, Kevin. Eric's friend, my friend. Guys are watching. I'm having a few more people watch this thing, so having a good time. And then Eric Beauchamp, he's a guy from Canada. We communicate on Facebook some, but I think he tried to watch a little bit tonight. But thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. I had a great time. Now you've given me something to think about for next week, Seth.
Well, certainly going to be a chess match at over 190 miles per hour next week. Rodney, congratulations on the great run here tonight. Best of luck next week in that regular season finale.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, guys.
Rodney Sullins, P2 here tonight. And, of course, before we bring up our race winner, I want to echo the sentiments and the condolences for us as well here to the Cannon family. Of course, there was a huge loss for RTG when David passed away. And Leanne, of course, along with Sean Prime, there was a lot of communication that went into the Bones 00300 special event. And certainly our thoughts and prayers go out to the Cannon family after the passing of Leanne as well. But certainly know that she's with David now, and the two of them back together. Pretty cool there that the two of them are going to be back together with each other, but this time in heaven.
You guys put that race together for Bones last minute too, right? Because it happened on like a Wednesday night or something, and the race is always on a Thursday night at FRN. You guys had to put that little tribute race together pretty quick. It was awesome.
Well, what we had was Talladega Challenge Series race. I think it was on the Thursday morning, and right. It was a combination of myself. I know Rodney played a huge part into it. John Godfrey, Sean Prime, a lot of people. It was a lot of all hands on deck to be able to bring about a tribute race that night, and then eventually we ended up having about a month and a half organization for that. David Cannon Bones 00300. So it's a privilege to be a part of all that for sure. And a lot of effort, a lot of organization went into all of that, both on the night and of course for the event that occurred about a month later.
Right, that's
very honored to be a part of that broadcast. It was a great race to call, and right there with you on the thoughts and prayers with the Cannon family right now. It's I agree with you. It's great that those two are back together in heaven, but just when I think about that whole family right now, because they're going through a very difficult time, not just for what just happened, but with David's passing as well.
Yep, absolutely. Well, on a lighter note, let's see if we can get a hold of tonight's race winner, first multi-time winner on the season, Grant Wesley. Hey, Grant's the guys up here in the broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, I'll tell you what. I believe I had you slotted 5th place coming off of turn 4 there, coming to the checkered flag. You got a heck of a shove before you guys got to the tri-oval, able to bypass both the 17 and the 38 to pick up this victory here tonight. You already came into this evening with a victory, came in leading the points, already had your spot in the playoffs secured, but now you break the streak of 6 different winners, first multi-time winner on the season. I mentioned the fact that all 4 weekly series, you were at the top of the point stands, my friend, and boy, talk about momentum getting geared up for the postseason.
Yeah, let's talk about that push I got. So I didn't even know where it came from, because it happened. Heck, I was going backwards. I was fifth place going backwards. I watched the replay. The only car I seen was Denny Carroll, but I can clearly see Randy Wall, man. Holy cow. He came from the middle lane. He cleared Ulysses, dropped to the bottom, gave a shot to Denny. Denny gave it to me, and I shot out like a cannon. And I had no idea it was happening as it was happening. So, that's the way this super speedway stuff works. I made a bad move on the white flag on the backstretch. I was running second there behind Chuck. I had been working with Chuck all night long. I love working with him. Obviously, last lap, you got to make a move when you get to turn 3 and 4. I made the move. And honestly, I knew it had to be a quick move because I knew Chuck was he was watching that mirror. He was gonna be on top of it. So I made it really fast. Chuck didn't, I faked Chuck out, but I faked everyone else out behind me, and we were all real tight. They didn't even have a chance to come down and help me. So I was kind of hung out to dry. I was just shaking my head when I did that. And coming off forward, the script flipped. That's just the way it is around here. So, holy cow.
Obviously, 1 race left to go here in the regular season. If you win the regular season championship, there's bonus points once the playoffs are put together, reformatted. This race victory here tonight, going to be some extra bonus points as well. Obviously, when you're in the race car, turning laps here around Talladega, you don't have the luxury that we do of seeing all the different scenarios that potentially could play out for next week. There's going to be a lot of hungry drivers looking to potentially be in must-win situations. How important in that retrospect is it to have gotten this second win here tonight to then potentially be able to maybe play some defense against Schilling, Metallic, some of those drivers that mathematically still have a shot of taking the regular season championship away from you next week?
Yeah, I never count on getting a win for those bonus points because it's so hard to do. Once you gotten one win in the season, getting that second one's even harder. Tonight, coming into tonight, after last week, I was found at fault for aggressively side drafting basically in the final corner and causing that final incident. I feel terrible about it. But, it's one of those scenarios we're coming down to the line. You hate to cause a wreck. But I was just being a tad on the aggressive side. So that incident was put on me. Unfortunately, I lost a ton of points. So I was coming into this race. I was just thinking, let's just, it closed everybody in on me. I think the top 4 was like 11-point spread or something. I just wanted to maintain kind of gap chilling a little bit and get a little comfort zone for next week. That's all I was really thinking coming into this. Obviously picking up the win, those are going to be automatic bonus points I'm going to carry into the reset. So yeah, right now I'm sitting really good. I just need a solid week next week.
So with that being said, just to kind of play off of you saying about having a solid week next week, are we thinking more points? Do you have a specific top 5, top 10 goal in mind? Are we still gunning for the win if we're in that scenario? Obviously a lot can change between now and the final lap of the finale next week, but as of right now, in this current present time, what is the goal for the 88 going into next week's race?
Yeah, we never change the formula of how we run these races. It's always the same, just plug and play. The moves are different, but no, we're still going to be gunning for the win, because as soon as you stop trying to go forward, you'll more than likely go backward. So we're going for the win, maybe without a few risky moves. I might say that, but yeah, we're still going for that win.
think it probably goes without saying, too, another goal finish ahead of the 4 car, because the 2 of you are going to be involved in that semifinal match in the bracket challenge going into next week, too.
Oh, yeah, we had that. So I was up against Bob Seminara tonight. I knew that was going to be tough. Man, he was right there in my mirror. He was right around me all night long. I don't know what happened to him. I think he had an issue on pit road, maybe. But, yeah. We'll be watching that 4 car next week extra hard.
Well, Grant, congratulations on the victory here tonight. Your second of season 67. Also, really good burnout there on the back straightaway. I've not seen very many vertical burnouts. Normally we see them horizontal, so style points to you, I guess, for that one there, albeit a little assisted. But nonetheless, before we let you get back to your celebrating here tonight, floor is yours for victory lane. Thank you, sponsors, and shout-outs.
Oh, yeah, real quick on that burnout. So, yeah, Schilling, he flipped me on the backstretch. That's all his fault. But I guess, so the way I skidded, it's like gripped up down there. So it wore my tires out quite a bit. And then when I came on the front stretch, I always pop it in reverse to get it spun around, and I just dump it in first and start smoking them. I blew 3 tires. I've never blown 3 tires in a burnout. It was amazing. So, yeah, pretty cool. So decelling off of that, I want to talk about Leanne, Bones' wife. Obviously, everybody knows she passed away. I think it was like 200 days after Bones. My heart goes out to the entire family. Just thoughts and prayers to help them through these hard times. I'd like to thank the owner, Sean Prime, and Josh, Jeremy, and Jason, those guys, for keeping the lights on here. Josh, Rodney, and Tim, the admins. Man, we get so many people that show up here. It's just amazing whenever things happen, like they happened tonight in the race where we had a bunch of black flags and we had to basically pace around under green. Josh and his team there, they handle it so well. They got it all cleared and straightened out. We went back racing and kept everything in line. So good job to those guys. FRN, Kyle, Blaine, Tarnation TV, Kyle, Blaine, Seth. Thanks to you guys for everything you do. This is extra special here on Thursdays with the Simulcast. Pretty cool stuff. I'm glad it's working out. My teammates with XFM and my friends and family for watching.
That's Grant Wesley, brings it home P1 here tonight. First repeat winner on the season here in season 67.
And your girlfriend, Brittany.
Yes, can't forget that.
That's always the last one. You got to do it properly.
Grant, congratulations
Grant
on the
wins
victory.
a lot. Sorry to step on you, but Grant wins a lot. So you get his whole. I got your whole script down, Pat, and I'm like, and your girlfriend Brittany, like you didn't end up with that one tonight.
Yeah, it's funny. So like people's kind of plugged me about that. It's like, oh yeah, I know what you're gonna say. I was like, yeah, I got notes. I have to have notes.
Well, Grant, congratulations on the victory here tonight. Some great momentum going into next week's regular season finale. Go enjoy your win here tonight at Dega.
All right, thanks, guys.
Grant Wesley becoming the first driver to pick up a second win here this season. So going into the regular season finale, we will have 6 drivers locking themselves in through wins. That leaves at least potentially 6 positions left for drivers to point their way in. And I don't know if we can fully explain the type of scenarios we've got going into next week, but just to blanket maybe a couple of the key ones here, some big names have fallen into must-win territory for next week, including Donnie Garrett, Joe DeSpirito, Terry Bombard, Billy Elliser, drivers that we're used to seeing battle either inside or just outside of that cut line at the regular season finale every season. There's a bunch of drivers that are outside the top 12 in the point standings, still have to point their way in potentially, maybe win their way in. Bernie Mobbs, the trouble here tonight, he fell out of the top 12. Greg Palmer, Kelly Causey, Jeremy Jeffries, John Godfrey, Robert Breedlove. I mean, there's a who's who of drivers next week that could win their way in, could point their way in, and also subsequently, if we end up having as crazy a race here tonight with drivers around that cut line next week as we had this evening, drivers that are just above the cut line that could fall out in the final regular season race of the season.
It's going to be a very eventful regular season finale, probably the most eventful that I've seen since I started covering the series with you guys. So, I'm looking forward to it.
We also had Al Sullins in the Flat Out Racing Network live stream, and I think he cracked the code. I think he cracked the code of all the crazy stuff we saw here tonight. I've forgotten about the fact that there's the whole story that Talladega was built on Indian burial ground. I think the track was haunted tonight.
Oh, I was right.
That explains why all the weird stuff that's happened at Talladega over the years. It's pretty much what everybody wants to blame it on.
Well, what we saw here tonight, if it happens next week with potential playoff and maybe even championship implications, it is going to be a must-see race. Folks, we hope that you join us next Thursday night. It's the final regular season race. At the conclusion, at least 12 drivers will be battling for a championship. A lot of drivers are in must-win situations. It may be one of the most exciting races of the season so far, and that's saying that in lieu of tonight's 3-wide, almost 4-wide finish that ended up seeing Grant Wesley go to victory lane. So should be a great one next Thursday night. Hope you join us here on both Tarnation TV and Flat Out Racing Network, simulcasting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We thank you for joining us here tonight for our coverage of race number 7. If you guys enjoyed our coverage, again, congratulations to Grant Wesley. One final commiserations and condolences sent out to the Cannon family here tonight on behalf of us, the broadcasters, as well as you heard a number of the drivers that we talked to here tonight as well, extending those condolences. But for Blaine Donlin, Kyle Matthews, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for spending your Thursday night with us, folks. We'll see you guys next week as you've been watching a continuation of Season 67 of the Rolling Thunder Gaming Talladega Challenge Series on the Flat Out Racing Network and Tarnation TV.